So your child is playing a video game. You saw it. Should you be concerned? One of the parents asked me this question, and the answer is what we'll dive into. Are video games inherently harmful, dangerous, addictive, or are they just one other form of media that you should treat like you treat movies or TV series or books? Let's dive right in. The first question we'll jump into is, are video games inherently harmful or not? And the short answer is they are not. They are part of a balanced diet of media consumption along with, say, TV. They watch some TV shows, they watch some movies. It's kind of like it's one of the forms of art that exists today. And whether we like it or not, children are going to be digital citizens. They are going to live in, part of their life is going to be digital. And part of that is going to be video games. Now, the question might be, hey, but isn't there a possibility that there is something bad that can happen because of video games? Now, we'll address that. But before that, is it all bad? Not really. A lot of video games actually are helpful in helping children socialize better, develop some skills. Now, I'm a little skeptical about the whole specific skills that you get by playing some strategy game. But what I am seeing a lot of evidence for is social and emotional skills that a lot of games help you develop. Now, this is not the same as I'm going to gamify education and somehow make it more motivating. That kind of works okay only. But there are some serious video games that when you play, there are some social and emotional skills you can develop. In fact, some of the studies show that particularly neurodivergent children who have some trouble socializing, understanding rules, end up finding games to be a great starting point where they understand the rules of society, how to stay positive in a game, how to handle if there's a rude comment or something. It's a low stakes environment, especially if it's done safe. It ends up being a swimming pool for the life that they have to enter later. So if you're one of the parents who's worried that video games are something inherently harmful and bad, you can shift your mindset to treating them as one of the media sources along with, say, movies, TV, and books that your child will use. And just like Steven Pinker tells, there are, even in books, some are enlightening and some you would want to keep out of an 8-year-old's hands. So now you know video games are not inherently harmful or bad. It's balance, that's the key. It's kind of part of a balanced diet. Then the question you might have is, okay, how much is too much? So about like 60 minutes in a weekday and maybe a little bit more flexibility on a weekend is one place where you can start thinking about it. And the best angle to think about this is like, it's not about panic and banning or restriction and like, kind of staying away. The broader theme I'll talk about in this video is think about it more about balance rather than banning, curation rather than like complete restriction. Like you pick the good ones, we'll tell you how you can pick. And the last would be co-playing and participating with them, being part of their world, because they're going to be a digital citizen, might as well do it along with you, being shown what's good and what's bad, right? So the one question you might have is, hey, but doesn't it get problematic? At what point does it? So when you look at the studies, right, of all the people who play video games, about 1% have a chance of developing what's called gaming disorder. What is that exactly? It just means that it's reaching a point where there's an opportunity cost, like your social life, your physical activity, your studies, other areas are getting affected. Typically, it's shown by about 1%. So if your child's playing a video game, you don't have to be worried. But there are signs you can look for if this is happening. Particularly, the starting point is the opportunity cost. If you're noticing that other areas of life are being affected, that's when you start taking action. You don't have to panic. I'll give you some ways in which you can take action if you notice this. There is a few more percentage, about like maybe 6-7% of people who may develop what's called not a disorder, but like problem gaming, they call it, which is that not many areas of life are affected for many months, which is what gaming disorder would be, but some areas are affected a little bit. For these, again, there are family tech planners you can come up with, arrive at a balanced strategy, which I'll talk about again a bit more, but it'll involve things like having screen-free zones, limits on screen time. You'll install some software, which I think you should do anyway, to be able to opine on what your children are using and how long they're using it. Now you might have a question like some specific games. What about these popular ones like Minecraft or Fortnite? Or what if the game specifically has some kind of competition and they're throwing something at each other, things like that. So one of the games that I've been asked us about is a game called Smash Karts. It's kind of similar to Mario Kart. So this is like cartoonish. People are throwing things at each other. If you look at the ratings of such games, it's kind of okay for like 8+ year old children. And this is like a pillow fight. You don't have to worry about this. What you might have to worry about a little bit more is like graphic violence. If you've played Mortal Kombat or Call of Duty, where you're like actually seeing blood splatter and things like that, those tend to be rated for higher ages. You have to be worried about these games that are violent or have adult content, just like you'd be worried about an R-rated or adult movie being shown to your child. And what about games like Pictionary or Gartic Phone that children are playing together online? These actually help build like social skills, helps them bond better, helps them work better together later. So these are perfect. You don't have to worry about this. And if your teacher in school or somewhere is using these as icebreakers, that's perfectly fine. Now, I answered for this specific game, but you might have many other games, right? Like Minecraft or Fortnite or Lego Fortnite. It just keeps going. And even if we address all of it in this video, day after tomorrow, there'll be a new game that's released and it'll go viral amongst children, and we'll have to figure out what that game is. So to do this, there are bodies that are providing ratings. One of them is ESRB, you might be aware. The other is PEGI. One is American and the other is European. And there's a website called Common Sense Media that my advisor spoke to me about when I brought up this problem to him, which was, hey, there are some children who are playing video games. What's our stance on it? How should we help? So Common Sense Media is the one that I found easiest to use and has ratings across everything like TV shows, movies, books, podcasts, YouTube videos, and also video games. So all the way from is Khan Academy Kids as an app, okay, it also has apps, all the way to like should your child watch some of the YouTube channels they're watching, to whether a video game is appropriate for their age or not. There are age-based ratings. They also give some guidelines on whether the violence is like cartoonish and okay, or is it kind of graphic violence. And finally, they also tell you which games are rated really high in terms of helping children develop social skills or emotional development. So you can take a call using these. Now that'll set you up to almost like read the nutritional label of a food item, right? Just like that, you will be able to read for a video game and decide whether you want to include it in the diet for your child. And just like nutritional labels, don't try to be perfectionistic. It doesn't have to mean that this can be no game. Every game has to be educational and it all has to like help in some way. Some of these games are just fun, and as long as it's harmless fun, it's part of a balanced diet. But one of the concerns you may have is some of these games might expose your child to some stranger online, and how do you avoid that? Now again, this Common Sense Media does have ways in which you can look up a specific game. Most games offer like sandboxing and providing parental controls, so you can look that up, and what you can do is make it so that you're keeping them broadly safe. And if you want to really get involved, co-playing with them is one of the best ways you can do it. Just like my dad introduced Somerset Maugham to me, or Satyajit Ray to me, you can introduce them to the creator of Super Mario Brothers, who also created like Mario 3 later. These are pieces of art just like a beautiful movie is. And also watch their world, not just showing them what you like in video games, but also watching what they love and being genuinely curious about it, so that you understand their interface, you understand their world. Like I said, the theme broadly is that they are going to be in that world. It's better to balance, to curate, and to co-play rather than to restrict, ban, and panic, right? So on a final note, how do you do this? There are some family tech planners that are age appropriate that you can use to broadly decide things on the screen time, screen etiquette, like how to be kind if you're using the screen, and if somebody's there, what to do. A lot of details are there in these planners that you can use. We'll share a link, and pick the age appropriate one. There's 2 to 8, 9 to 12, and you'll have to start at a particular age and keep increasing and changing based on each year. As your child grows, they might need more flexibility, more access, and you can keep doing this. So like I said, video games are super fun. They're beautiful. They're an art form. In fact, the video game industry is larger than Hollywood in the US, and a lot of artists are involved in creating beautiful games. Just like there are people working behind the screens to create addictive software and to create like things that are not really good for our mental health. There are people, including us, who are working behind the screens to first help children mitigate these. Because like I said, if we don't teach children about this world, restrict it to them, from them, they're one day going to discover it themselves, but not with sufficient tools. A better strategy, and you can see the curriculum that's there for digital well-being. A better strategy as educators, like this was your role, what's our role, is to make it so that we actually teach them, hey, how do these algorithms keep you hooked? What kind of mechanisms games use sometimes to keep you going back over and over again without really good high benefits for you? How can you stay away from that? How can you watch when you share something online? Who's storing it? Where is it getting stored? How can it be used against you? So this kind of digital well-being as part of it was what our advisor suggested. And the moment he suggested, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And we had that in our curriculum already, but our strategy now is to like increase our emphasis on it even more. So that's what we'll do as educators. And as parents, all you have to do is make sure there's balance and make sure that you are using a structured environment to do this, not like, hey, I'll restrict it from you, and then suddenly one day you do whatever you want. Rather, you're actually helping them treat this time like a swimming pool, and when they go to the sea, it's much better. And finally, co-play and curiously enjoy with them, because you may end up discovering a game that you enjoy more than even them. This fan is not working. This iPad is getting switched off.